they're going to impeach Trump over this if they win the House. The drug boat controversy and Venezuela, the Caribbean, unusual for it to be quite the scene of action that it is now. But the Caribbean and Venezuela and the drug trade are all very much in the headlines. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, getting a lot of heat, a lot of criticism, no surprise, for these strikes. And there's been some reporting that is now contested about a double tap, if you will, on one of these boats. I think it was the first boat strike, actually. We're going to discuss some of that and also the implications for Venezuela, where it is now being said the president has given Maduro, was it to Friday? It's already Tuesday. Friday deadline. Trump went on a truth posting bonanza last night, posting truths to Truth Social. We will get into some of those. The cabinet is meeting currently. We'll bring you the highlights of that, the Trump cabinet. Caroline Leavitt also had a fiery press conference yesterday. We'll bring you some of the best moments from that. Zoran Mamdani is being a crazy commie. Tom Homan is saying the Biden administration, it wasn't bad enough for them to let 10 million illegals flood the country, Clay. They also said, you know what, let's just take in all these Afghans and not vet them at all. Basically, you raise your hand and say, hey, I did great things for America. You owe me. Okay, we'll take you. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. But let's talk first about the drug boat situation here, Clay. Now they're making a thing of this, and we've discussed this. They really have wanted to take Secretary Hegseth off of the chessboard from the very beginning. I think the media has gone after Trump. Would you co-sign this one? In term two, Pete has been target number 2 after Trump. Trump's always target number 1.
I think that's accurate. I think Kash Patel has moved into in the number 3 spot on the attack list. And I think we kind of stayed in that range. I think there would be probably a big drop-off. I mean, Elon obviously was not in the cabinet, but he was probably the most attacked in the first 6 months or so of Trump. But in the cabinet, I think Hegseth's 1. I think that then Kash Patel is 2. And would you agree with me? There's a huge drop-off after those 2. I don't even know who the third biggest target would be. It's been like just kind of alternating between Hegseth and with Kash.
They have been trying to go after David Sachs as well lately, the crypto and AI czar, who we would like to get on this program soon to talk about what he's doing. But he's a very savvy cat and has been not only able to defend himself very effectively without having to do very much, because a lot of the stuff that they're saying is just not true. Other people have been coming to his defense as well, saying he's in this position of he has so much money. Money has very little meaning for him. He actually thinks that he's helping the country, and that's why he's in this special advisory role, special employee to the administration. But we can get more into that too. But they want Hegseth out. They want to be able to show the Democrat base, hey, we can still call the shots in the media. We can still get a scalp, so to speak. And so this is where we're talking about not just the boat strikes, which I'm going to tell you right now, Clay, they're going to impeach Trump over this if they win the House. All right? Do you have any doubt whatsoever about this?
I don't know that it'll be over this specifically. They're going to impeach him probably over whatever. I mean, they're going to find something to impeach him over. We agree 100% that they will impeach him for a third time for something if they win the House.
I think this is top of the list, and that's why they're so dug in on this. I believe that they're going to try to make the case that these are war crimes. That's exact, and they're already saying it, so that's not a stretch at all. But they also want to use it to have it as a cudgel to force Secretary of War Hegseth out of office. Here is, for example, here is former Deputy Assistant AG. This is cut 8. John. Wait, before we play the cut. So the claim, Clay, so we're clear on this, is that Pete, we'll just call him Pete sometimes, we know him, oversaw and was watching in real time a strike on the first of these boats, and that they hit the boat, JSOC blew this boat up, and then there was wreckage, there was, pieces of it, and there were a couple of guys who were clinging to the wreckage, And then the affirmative order was given to send a second missile strike to kill the guys who were clinging to the wreckage. That's the claim. Now, this is disputed. Here is, though, what's being said by people in the media now about this play 8.
If you look at the U.S. Law of War Manual, which is the definitive interpretation of the way we fight the laws of armed conflict for the United States, it says clearly that you are not allowed to give orders that say no survivors. Commanders are not allowed to give orders say no quarter. And so Hegseth can't give that command legally. Also, again, there are gray areas, but one area that's not gray, that's clear, is you can't fire on the wounded. You can't kill survivors who can no longer fight. So the admiral should not have obeyed the order that Secretary Hegseth gave, and even the soldiers who carried out the admiral's orders should not have obeyed.
Clay, Lawyer Clay, work us through this a bit.
Okay, so Lawyer Clay, let me first say I obviously don't have firsthand knowledge, but if I were making a case here, there are several angles that I think would be in play. Let me start with defending the decision if this were what happened from them. I think they can say this wasn't a second strike to kill survivors. The boat was still operable, and we were concerned that we hadn't fulfilled the original mission, right? You can hit a boat or a vehicle multiple times if you do not believe you have actually rendered it to be inoperable. In other words, I think there's probably a defense that, hey, the first strike did not do the complete damage that was necessary. We did a second strike on top of it. I also think that there is potentially an issue here where if there are prisoners taken, then there is going to be a legal challenge to whether the president has the authority to undertake these actions. And do we then have an obligation to go rescue the survivors, all these other different things? I think that could be in play. But again, what are the facts? What were the exact orders? What was the intent of the order? Remember, there are all sorts of issues out there where we have an attack that is ordered and it's the wrong attack, right? We talked about this on the program before in Afghanistan. We killed an innocent family. We thought the guy was a terrorist. That obviously got a decent amount of attention. So there are errors of interpretation that occur on these strikes too. I think it's very hard to know direct intent.
If you believe in the life of a child, if you believe the life of an unborn child is precious, and all of you in the pro-life community certainly do, you know that we have to do everything we can to save the lives of tiny babies in the womb. Right now, 1 in 4 pregnancies ends in abortion. That's just a horrific fact, but it's true. Thousands of lives lost every single day. We can change hearts and minds. We can change laws. That takes time. In the meantime, lives are being lost. How do we save lives right now? This Christmas season, how do you go to bed at night knowing that you've helped to save the life of a tiny baby and changed the mother-to-be's life with it as well? Preborn. Preborn clinics have saved over 350,000 babies with their life-giving work. What they do is they welcome in mothers to their clinics. They give them a free ultrasound because when mom meets that baby, the moment of mom and child meeting via ultrasound, the heart beating, that changes everything. That ultrasound costs just $28, and that's where you come in. So as the year comes to a close, please consider a holiday season tax-deductible donation, which could save the life of a tiny baby. That donation could be the difference between life and death for a baby this week, next week, who knows? It can make the difference. To donate, dial pound 250, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, say baby, or donate securely at preborn.com/buck, preborn.com/BUCK. Sponsored by Preborn.